Please the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Lassay, Mr. Saunders. Thank you for your service as jurors. We definitely appreciate you being here, serving on the jury, because a jury is an integral part of the court process. Without you jurors, our court system simply couldn't function. The lawyers couldn't do their job and the court couldn't do its job. So we appreciate your time, your attention to detail, and your anticipated focus over the next several days that you're going to put into this very serious case. Now, in this case, the state of Wisconsin, through the Brown County District Attorney's Office, has the complete burden of proof. The state must prove to all of you jurors, beyond a reasonable doubt, each and every element of the crimes charged beyond a reasonable doubt. The United States Constitution presumes that every person who is accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. And in this case, Taylor Schabusiness is presumed to be innocent. She doesn't have to prove anything. The defense does not have to prove anything in this case. Why? Because the complete burden of proof rests with the District Attorney's Office, with the state of Wisconsin. They have to prove up all the facts. And in this case, you're going to hear a lot of different facts. You're going to hear a lot of different accounts from witnesses, citizen witnesses, detectives, police officers, experts, DNA analysts, medical examiners, all of that. You're going to have to take all of that information into consideration when you deliberate. But the entire burden rests with the state in this case. My client, Taylor Denise Schabusiness, also has an absolute right to remain silent. Under the law, she has a right not to testify if she so chooses, and if she elects not to testify, you cannot use that fact alone against her in this trial. She doesn't have to testify, but she may testify. In this particular case, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Denise Schabusiness was friends with Shad. They went to high school together. They went to school at Bayport, and they had classes together. And they were, when they were younger, they dated for a short period of time. But basically, they were friends. You're going to hear some testimony on, it was a Wednesday, February 23rd of 2022. You're going to hear, I believe, a 911 tape. You're going to hear testimony from Tara Pakinich and Stephen Hendricks. They live at 829 Stony Brook Lane in Green Bay. There was a call from Mr. Hendricks that he apparently went downstairs in the basement and saw a bucket, saw a human head in the bucket, and he had checked it out because his significant other, Tara Pakinich, had initially went down there and saw this and had him go check. He didn't have glasses on, but he apparently called 911, and that caused the officers to come to the scene at 829 Stony Brook Lane. And there'll be some testimony about this residence. It's a small, quaint home. It's got a loft upstairs where I believe Tara Pakinich and Stephen Hendricks were sleeping. And it has a floor level with kitchen, living area, and then it has a basement. And there will be testimony. We believe that Stephen Hendricks last saw Shad at the house on Monday night, which I believe would have been February 21st of 2022. He will indicate that, both of them will indicate that they really did not see Taylor Schabusiness leave. They heard a vehicle start, a door slam, caused them to wake up. Officer Wanish, you'll hear from him. He came to the house and went down the basement to make some observations. That the officers did a protective sweep. They walked around the basement and the entire house to see if there were any other people there on February 23rd, 2022. And the only people that were there were Tara Pakinich, the owner, Stephen Hendricks, and daughter Ava Wheelock. Those people were there. No Taylor Schabusiness was there. She wasn't in the basement. She wasn't anywhere in the house. But obviously there was some investigation, and evidence was apparently found. And it's true that law enforcement officers didn't have a clear picture or clear understanding of what was really happening or what happened, and so they're trying to figure things out as they went along. There would be some testimony from other officers with regards to the other scene, which is 2353 Eastman Avenue in Green Bay. That, I submit, was Taylor Schabusiness's apartment, and she lived there with Scott Thoms, Thoms. And law enforcement officers came over there, and my client came out of the apartment complex, and she was arrested. She had a warrant. She was taken into a squad car and taken down to the Green Bay Police Department for questioning by Detective Groff and Detective Kevin Kempf. Also, law enforcement arrested the other person in apartment 1, that was Taylor's apartment, Scott Thoms, and he was ordered to lay on the ground, and he was taken into custody as well. You'll hear from lots of different officers, in this case law enforcement officers. The officers found a gold Chrysler Town and Country minivan, I believe 2006, and they found it parked in the Eastman Avenue parking lot, and there were some concerns about it. Now, this vehicle is owned by Scott Thoms, and I believe that will come out that he was the one that owned that vehicle. But inside that vehicle, there was a crock pot box, and there were some human body parts in there. In this particular case, you'll also hear from Dr. Tranchita. He's the medical examiner, did a lot of investigative work, looking at cause and manner of death of the deceased. So you'll hear about all of his findings. You're also going to hear from Kevin Scott. He's the DNA analyst for the State of Wisconsin Crime Lab, and his testimony, I believe, will show that he took various swabs as part of the DNA analysis, and items were swabbed. There were sweatpants, there were blades, there were light switch, there was boxes, hands, people's mouths, and a dildo, because that was found. The swab of the dildo, he will testify, I believe, that the possible contribution of DNA from shad therian as it relates to the dildo is inconclusive due to the complexity of the mixture. So the state is going to argue that there was a sexual assault by use of the dildo, and the deceased DNA is not on it. So that's something you'll have to take into consideration. You're going to hear from Sergeant Kurt Brester from the Green Bay Police Department. He was dispatched to 829 Stony Brook Lane regarding a suspicious situation on February 23rd, 2022, and that he conferred with Officer Wanish outside, that he had contact with Tara Pakinich and Stephen Hendricks, and that he did a protective sweep of the residence, and they didn't find anybody else other than Ava Wheelock, who was the young lady, she's 16, sleeping in a bedroom. You're going to hear from, I believe, Officer T.J. Buckman, that he arrived on the scene as a supervisor to this apartment complex, and he actually went to 2353 Eastman Avenue in Green Bay, and he saw that gold van parked outside, and he had several other officers keep the van under surveillance, and at least from his initial investigation, he did not have enough information to determine whether or not Taylor Schabusiness was the suspect or the victim. And so those are some other things that you're going to have to take a look at and think about. You're going to see the videotape in this case where there was a lengthy video down at the Green Bay Police Department between Detective Groff and Detective Kempf and my client, Taylor Denise Schabusiness. And they talked, and Detective Groff asked her lots of questions about what she knew and her whereabouts and what may or may not have happened. So you have to pay close attention to that and think about the things that are said. In a case like this, and really in any case, you have to assess the credibility of each and every witness. You have to take all of that into consideration in this matter. I'd ask that you, when you're considering all of the evidence, don't jump to conclusions. Don't rush to judgment. Please keep an open mind. Listen to all the facts. Listen to what every witness has to say carefully and weigh what they have to say. And remember, there's always two sides to every story. You jurors are going to have to decipher the facts of what may have occurred or what didn't occur. But at the end of the case, we ask that you find our client not guilty on all the counts. Thank you.